This podcast is brought to you by the School of Advanced Study, University of London. All of our podcasts are available from our website, www.sas.ac.uk.
Good evening. Those of you who a lot of us have spent the day together, so there are a few here who haven't. So just to introduce myself, I'm Jill Rye, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to the John Coffin Memorial Lecture in association with the Motherhood in Post-1968 European Literature Network and the Centre for the Study of Contemporary Women's Writing and the Institute of Germanic and Romance Studies and the University of London. I was all part of this. So the Institutes of the School of Advanced Study hosts a John Coffin Memorial event on behalf of the colleges of the University of London in fulfilment of a gift by Mr. Coffin's son Arthur Charles, one-time Chief Education Officer in Bradford, who before the Second World War had close connections with the University of London. I quote now from all that is preserved of him in the institutional memory. Mr. Coffin was concerned that in the growing intensity of specialisation in modern times, we should not lose sight of music, the arts, and what he termed the cultural aspects of education, and not the least of good general teaching on a sound religious basis. In addition to a part of the bequest devoted to lectures in Christian ethics, history, literature, and science, other parts are earmarked for literary readings of prose or poetry, chamber concerts or recitals, and for the publication of reports by the Institute of Education. Mr. Coffin further states in his will that he desired each event to be announced as part of the John Coffin Memorial Fund, and it therefore appears likely that the bequest is in memory of his father. So this is what I'm doing now, because we have to say all this about John Coffin Fund at the beginning of each lecture, each reading. Beyond this, little is known of either John or Arthur Coffin, and it was often said of John Coffin that he is a man mysteriously famous or famously mysterious. Recent research has, however, revealed that John Coffin was a journeyman blacksmith in the West Country, residing in Dorchester. When his son Arthur Charles was born in March 1868, his wife Mary Ann née Willis made her mark on his birth certificate, i.e. she had no writing literacy. Arthur Charles became an external student of the University of London, graduating with a pass degree in arts in 1889 by private study, receiving some tuition at the former St John's College, Battersea. He retired as Inspector of Education to Dorset and died aged 88 in July 1956, leaving his residual estate of £27,000 to the university in 1957. I have to say, the fact that it's still going strong, we're obviously living off the interest of that £27,000, and we can still run these readings and lectures. These newly established facts exemplify the founding mission of the University of London to widen access to tertiary education as far as possible. Well, since its foundation in 1994, the School of Advanced Study has opened up Coffin readings, recitals and lectures, and for the last 5 years there have been dedicated series of Coffin lectures in a wide array of subjects, including Irish studies, paleography, history of the book, English literature and language, and the John Coffin Memorial Lecture in Science. So that concludes that very formal part of the evening. What we're just to explain the sort of outline of what we're going to be doing over the next couple of hours. We're very pleased to have two writers with us, Karine Reysset and Eleonora Amazzoni, from France and Italy, respectively. I'm going to introduce Karine first, and then Karine is going to read and talk a little bit about her work, but read from her texts in French. And Annalie Madamley here is going to read, after each extract, she'll read the extract in English, so I hope that everyone will have access to either the French or the English. And then we will have some time for questions. And then my colleague Aradisha Giorgio is going to introduce Eleonora, and we'll repeat the same with the second writer. And then have questions again afterwards, and then hopefully, as long as it arrives, we're about to invite you for a glass of wine afterwards next door. So we'll start the evening, or the reading part of the evening. So I'm delighted to be able to welcome French author Karine Reysset to London. Karine has published 5 novels so far, and she also writes children's books. And her work is of particular interest to the topic today, changing models of motherhood. Those of us who participated at the cross-cultural and interdisciplinary workshop earlier on the same topic have discussed mothers and mothering in the context of changing family patterns and kinship relations that are occurring in Europe and elsewhere. Now, this may be to do with post-divorce or post-bereavement family groupings, second and third families, transnational adoption, same-sex parenting, single-parent families, the impact of reproductive technologies, absent or long-distance mothers, and in some countries, the greater involvement of fathers in primary parenting. We've also discussed the particular difficulties and experiences of marginalisation of mothering disabled children. So, Karine's novels, and this is why we particularly invited her, or I found her work some years ago, so I've been following her career with interest and her earth with interest. Karine's novels all portray mothers for whom, for various reasons, mothering is not simple or straightforward, or who are marginal to the mainstream in some way. Her first novel, L'Inattendu, which will be translated as The Unexpected, which was published in 2003, is a kind of pregnancy diary, documenting the inner thoughts, fears, hopes and expectations of the expectant mother, who finds ultimately that things don't go according to plan. Say that. The 3 novels that Karine will be reading from today, and the covers, the books are there, as you can see as she reads them. Between them, they present between them a panorama of so-called different kinds of mothers. Now, whatever terminology we use, it's always up for contestation, but what we're calling different kinds of mothers in the type of mothers I explained earlier, yet they're all extremely common. Mothers who lose their children, teenage mothers, poor mothers, lesbian mothers, mothers who can't cope or simply feel ambivalent about motherhood. Such mothers are often labelled as abnormal, dysfunctional or problem mothers in socio-political discourse. Karine's novels confront them but never write them off or blame them. Instead, in her sparkling, crystal-clear, rhythmic prose, she tries to understand them, never to judge them, to open up their thoughts and words to her readers. We just need to listen. And Karine's work is then exemplary in what we in the Motherhood in Post-1968 European Literature Network maintain is one of the key values of literature to interdisciplinary studies of motherhood. It can offer insights into the intimate thoughts of mothers and into the complexities of maternal subjectivity that real mothers may not be able to express to those who can help them. Karine.
I'm a bit nervous. I was very honored to be invited to this reading and earlier workshop. It was very interesting. It is a big challenge for me. I am not familiar with speaking in public, and I am quite shy. And I lack self-confidence in my words. And here I have to do it in English, in front of an university audience. I used to be very good in English when I was young, but it was a long time ago. So excuse me for my poor English and my bad accent. I hope you will understand me. I am very honored to be invited, but not surprised by the subject. I'm interested in it. I can't deny it. All my books talk about motherhood. It's unconscious. I don't do it on purpose. I go around it with circles like an explorer. There are still a lot, and there are still for me a lot of virgin fields to investigate. So, as you said, my first published book, Unexpected, was autobiographical. It was a sort of long book of my pregnancy. Over time, I went from autobiographical book to fiction. En douce, on the quiet, my second novel can be situated between. In France, we call this kind of fiction. I'm going to read the second chapter. My heroine, Juliette, has run away with a baby. It is like an urgent need. You will hear her inner voice speaking to her boyfriend, Eric, father of Manon. She has decided to reach her family home on the Côte d'Azur. The theme of the sea as a place of refuge is very present in my work as in my life. It's not a coincidence that I chose to quit Paris for summer. In French. Le train roule depuis quand, je ne sais pas. La vitesse me donne envie de vomir, prendre un peu de préférant contre le mal de cœur, prendre un trimestal contre le mal de cœur. C'est la première fois. Je n'en suis pas spécialement fière. Je ne suis pas spécialement fière de ça. Ce que je fais, cette chose, le mal que je vais te faire, ce n'est qu'une question de jour. Vendredi soir, tu vas t'apercevoir de notre disparition. Le mal que je me fais violence. Dans ce train, j'ai envie de hurler, me jeter sur la voie, devenir une toile de mer. Je ne peux pas. Il y a Manon. Elle boit mon lait, celui qui coule de mes seins. On ne peut nous séparer. Ce n'est pas une manœuvre. De toute façon, ce n'est pas prévu. Rien n'est prévu. Il ne faut pas croire que c'est une manigance. Je ne manigance rien. Tout à l'heure, on m'a regardé un drôle d'air parce que j'allaitais mon enfant. Je suis pourtant discrète, on ne voit rien. La tête boutonne de Manon enfouie, cet animal affamé. Je ne peux pas arrêter pour l'instant. Pas tout en même temps. Il me faut du temps, de la force. Après, je pourrais boire à nouveau de l'alcool. Je bois un peu de toute façon, le moins possible. Elle me regarde avec ses grands yeux. Ses grands yeux mauves, je ne peux oublier son père, t'oublier, c'est ton portrait tout craché. Les yeux clairs, la peau de géranium, les cheveux couleur miel, le front grand, bombé. Je la sens un peu inquiète, nerveuse. Je lui chuchote à l'oreille. Ne t'en fais pas, mon ange, ne t'en fais pas. Ne t'en fais pas, mon amour, nous t'aimerons toujours. Papa est là-bas, il pense bien à toi, il est dans ton cœur, tu es dans son cœur. Maman avec toi te protégera. Maman avec toi, elle est là pour ça. Ne t'en fais pas, ça ira, ne t'en fais pas. Ça n'a rien à voir avec toi. Ne t'en fais pas, je suis là pour toi. C'est comme une berceuse dans le train pour la rassurer, me rassurer, nos cheveux emmêlés, nos peaux collées par la peur et le lait caillé. Nous avons l'air de deux amoureuses, de fiancées, de poupées russes. Nous avons l'air de deux folles. Le train roule, ça met des heures. Rejoindre la mer, somnoler. Ne pas fermer les yeux, sinon je tombe. Sinon c'est le vide. Manon dort, le front serré, plissé. C'est de l'heure, jointe comme une prière. Tu dis toujours, quand ça va mal, il faut aller à la mer. C'est ce que je fais. Ça ira mieux. On ira mieux quand on sera à la mer.
So this is the translation of the first extract from En douce, on the quiet. The train has been speeding along. How long for, I don't know. It's making me feel sick. Take some Premperon for nausea, Temesta for the blues, for the first time. I'm not especially proud of that. Not especially proud of this, what I'm doing, this thing that will hurt you. It's only a question of days. Friday evening you'll notice we've gone. I'm hurting myself. I'm forcing myself in this train. I want to howl, throw myself onto the track, become a starfish. I can't. There's Manon. She feeds on my milk, which flows from my breasts. We can't be separated. It's not a ploy in any case. It's not planned. Nothing's planned. Don't think it's a trick. I'm not playing games. Just now people looked at me a bit oddly because I was breastfeeding my baby. I'm discreet though, you can't see anything. Manon buries her greedy head in me, the famished little thing. I can't give up at the moment, not everything at the same time. I need time, strength. Afterwards I'll be able to drink again. I drink a bit in any case, as little as possible. She looks at me wide-eyed with her big mauve eyes. I can't forget her father, forget you. She's your spitting image, her bright eyes, peach-like skin, hair the colour of honey, a large domed forehead. I sense she's a bit anxious, nervous. I whisper in her ear. Don't worry, my angel, don't worry. Don't worry, my darling. We'll always love each other. Papa's there, he's thinking of you. He's in your heart, you are in his. Mummy's with you, and she'll protect you. Mummy's with you, that's what she's here for. Don't worry, it'll be okay. Don't worry, it has nothing to do with you. Don't worry, I'm here for you. It's like a lullaby in the train, to reassure her, reassure me, our hair intermingling, skin sticking with fear and crusty milk. We're like two lovers, two fiancés, two Russian dolls. We're like two mad women. The train rolls on, it's taking hours. Getting back to the sea, dozing, not closing my eyes as I fall, or it's the void. Manon is sleeping, her forehead tight, creased, her lips together, as in prayer. You always say, when things aren't going well, you should go to the sea. That's what I'm doing. It'll be better, we'll be better, when we get to the sea.
The second extract is situated at the 2/3 of the novel. Several weeks passed since Juliette left her home. She met an Irish girl and had an affair with her. Assis sur le sable dans ma robe, longue, violette, avec les grandes poches en forme de trou noir, je pose Manon entre mes jambes, comme un bâton. Manon, assise, elle aussi, face à la mer, le dos, sa tête calée sur mon ventre coupé. Nous regardons toutes les deux la mer, la baie, quelques bateaux blancs en moteur. Un goéland cendré trempe son cul dans l'eau. Une famille pique-nique, 2 couples, 6 enfants. Je m'amuse à recomposer les filiations, c'est un jeu que nous aimions. Je suis allée voir le médecin ce matin. Il voulait me donner un médicament très fort pour sauver les maux de l'idée. J'ai préféré ne pas le faire les choses naturellement. Le médecin m'a prescrit la pilule aussi. Ça me fait rire, je n'ai pas envie de faire l'amour. Ou alors avec Sarah, mais elle est partie. Manon a bu 2 biberons aujourd'hui. Elle aime ça, boire goulûment, restant très concentrée. Comme ça, si tu viens, tu pourras l'apprendre. Ce n'est pas vrai, je ne pense pas à ce que je dis. Mes seins sont gonflés, tendus. J'ai l'impression qu'ils vont exploser. Je la nourris avant même qu'elle n'ait faim pour me soulager. C'est même agréable le soulagement. Sinon, elle se met à couler tout seul et mon soutien-gorge est trempé. Je m'entête à ne pas porter les coussinets en coton prévu à cet effet, je ne suis pas sérieuse. Je les vide aussi dans l'eau du bain. J'aimerais prendre en photo au mieux, filmer le nuage de lait, la dispersion du lait dans l'eau. Ça fait partie de ces choses qui m'occupent ou m'inoccupent. Ces choses inutiles et douces, comme regarder la mer, sentir le soleil sur ma nuque, passer mes doigts dans le sable, caresser le tronc des arbres, tremper un bout de pied. C'est ainsi que je me remplis. Manon commence à se tenir un tout petit peu assise. Je mets des coussins tout autour sur le grand matelas. Elle dort moins maintenant. Au début, elle dormait tout le temps, comme à son nom. Ses cheveux ont poussé, il lui mange le front, les yeux. J'ai peur de couper, peur de rater, de lui faire mal. C'est comme les ongles, je ne sais pas. C'est toi qui sais, fais ces choses-là. Moi, je ne sais pas, alors je ne fais pas. Tu finiras bien par venir, qu'est-ce que tu attends? Je lui ai dit à Manon, je lui ai dit que tu allais venir. Depuis, elle dort moins. Maintenant, elle regarde la mer, elle se tient presque assise, boit des biberons, mange des fruits en compote à la petite cuillère. Tu verrais comme elle a grandi. Ses yeux sont mauves quand il fait soleil, je te jure que c'est vrai. Je lui parle de toi. Elle a dit papa, du moins ça y ressemblait. Les enfants commencent souvent par papa, c'est plus facile. Je préfère me dire ça. Elle voulait peut-être me dire quelque chose, avoir des réponses. Alors je lui parle de toi, assis sur la plage, dans le fauteuil à bascule. Je lui parle de toi parce que tu es son père, parce que tu es mon amour de toute façon, quoi que je dise, face. Mais je le sais. Je ne te verrai pas lancer des cailloux avec notre fille en hiver, jouer au ballon sur le sable pendant que je mets mes mains devant le visage. J'ai peur des ballons, j'ai cette phobie. Je ne vous verrai pas vous approcher trop près des rochers, vous faire éclabousser, Manon trempée dans son manteau rouge, lutin. Je ne te verrai pas la faire glisser sur le toboggan du communiqué sur la plage de Saint-Denis. Le soir, pendant que je bois un café chaud dans un gobelet en carton et dévore la meilleure gaufre aussi près du monde.
Sitting on the sand in my dress, long and violet, with big pockets that look like black holes, I put Manon between my legs like a boat. Manon too, sitting, facing the sea, her back, her head propped up against my stitched tummy. We're both looking at the sea, the bay, several white motorboats. A light grey gull soaks his rear in the water. A family picnic, 2 couples, 6 children. I amuse myself by working out the family relationships, a game we were fond of. I went to see the doctor this morning. He wanted to give me some very strong medication to stop the milk rising. I prefer not to do that, to do things naturally. The doctor also gave me a prescription for the pill. It made me laugh. I have no desire to make love, apart from with Sarah, but she's gone. Manon took 2 bottles today. She likes it, drinks greedily, concentrating. Like that if you come, you'll be able to take her. It's not true. I don't mean what I'm saying. My breasts are swollen, tight. It feels like they're going to explode. I feed her even before she's hungry so as to relieve myself. It's even nice, that relief. Otherwise they start leaking and my bra gets soaked. I never remember the pads. I'm useless. I also express it in the bathwater. I'd like to take a photo. Or better, film the cloud of milk, the milk dispersing in the water. These are the things that are occupying me or inoccupying me, useless and gentle things like looking at the sea, feeling the sun on my neck, running my fingers through the sand, stroking tree trunks, dipping my toes in the water. That's what I'm filling myself up with. Manon is starting to sit up, just a little bit. I put cushions all around her on the big mattress. She sleeps less now. At the beginning she slept all the time, as if she were out cold. Her hair has grown, it's all over her forehead, in her eyes. I'm frightened of cutting it, frightened of messing it up, of hurting her. It's like her nails. I don't know how to. You're the one that knows who does these things. Me, I don't know, so I don't do it. You'll end up by coming. What are you waiting for? I told Manon, told her you were coming, were going to come. Since then she's been sleeping less. Now she's looking at the sea, almost sitting up, drinks from the bottle. eats fruit compote from a teaspoon. You'd see how she's grown. Her eyes are mauve when it's sunny. I swear it's true. I talked to her about you. She said Papa. At least that's what it sounded like. Children often begin with Papa. It's easier. I prefer to tell myself that. Perhaps she wanted to tell me something, have answers. So I talked to her about you, sitting on the beach in the rocking chair. I talked to her about you because you're her father, because you're my love in any case, whatever I say or do. But I know I won't watch you throw stones with our daughter in the winter, play ball on the sand while I hide my face. I'm frightened of balls. It's my phobia. I won't see you get too close in the rocks or splash each other. Manon soaked in her red hooded coat. I won't see you put her on the slide at the Club Mickey, on the beach at the Saint Lunaire, in the evening while I drink a hot coffee in a cardboard cup and devour the best sugar waffle in the world.
So I'm going to read two extracts from Comme Mère, like Mother, it's my third novel. I choose to make cuts in the text in order to shorten it. I begin with the second chapter of the novel. It is the apparition of Judith, one of the two main characters. La salle de naissance porte un nom de fleur, Violette. C'est un hommage tacite. Ta grande sœur devait s'appeler ainsi. C'est Nathan qui avait choisi le prénom. Je préférais Apolline. Elle est morte à 5 mois et demi dans mon ventre. Avant, il y avait eu Antonin, 4 mois. Trop petit, trop fragile. J'embrasse mon gris-gris japonais. J'ai failli l'oublier à la maison. Il était resté sous l'oreiller de ce lit bien trop grand, dans la chambre bleue donnant sur la rue avec des barreaux aux fenêtres. Je l'ai acheté à Kyoto, dans un sanctuaire shinto, coincé entre un poste de police et une boutique de souvenirs, à l'intérieur d'une galerie commerçante. C'est une sorte de peluche grise avec un pichou rouge. Les yeux et la bouche sont dessinés au feutre noir. Elle est toujours près de mes doigts, fétiche pour conjurer le malheur. Elle représente Giso, le dieu des voyageurs et des enfants. Il les protège et arrache aussi les limbes et les bébés morts in utero, morts trop tôt, pour les conduire au paradis. Étonnamment, je n'ai pas peur. Mon bébé, Dieu l'a porté. Seule ma peau ne sépare si fine. Tu vas bientôt connaître mes baisers. Pour l'instant, tout se déroule parfaitement. J'ai mis toutes les chances de mon côté. J'ai sémé tant de vœux à Kyoto. Jusqu'à présent, ils se sont réalisés. J'ai écrit mes souhaits sur des plaquettes de bois destinées à être brûlées, sur des feuillets que j'ai fixés à des branches d'arbres en métal. J'entends de nouveau des cris, de colère, de douleur. La sage-femme qui vient de percer ma poche des os comme un ballon avec une aiguille interpelle une de ses collègues et lui demande ce qui se passe dans la jonquille. Elle lui répond que c'est la fille du dragon qui a pris sur l'épaule. C'est une X, c'est ça? Oui, elle peut toujours l'attendre pour que j'appelle l'anesthésiste. Je me bouche les oreilles, nous avons tous de ces lâchetés. Dans la salle de travail, elle n'arrêtait pas de râler qu'elle avait mal, qu'on lui avait promis que ça n'arriverait pas. Elle ne doit pas avoir plus de 18 ans, elle est si maigre, malgré son ventre qui faisait remonter son t-shirt trop court sous les cuisses. La sage-femme avait beau lui expliquer que ce n'était pas contre elle, rien ne semblait la calmer. J'ai mis mon Walkman pour ne plus l'entendre. J'ai réécouté les disques qui m'ont accompagné ce dernier mois. Je ne peux pas partager la souffrance des autres. Je n'ai plus les épaules pour ça. J'ai besoin de calme et de sérénité pour mettre au monde mon enfant. Je l'attends depuis si longtemps. Tout est prêt pour notre retour. J'ai laissé ta chambre plongée dans la pénombre, le soleil filtrant par les persiennes. C'est moi qui l'ai teinte, bleu lavande et Véranis, qui ai posé la frise de poussin sur les murs. Je me suis donné du mal. Oui, tout est prêt. Le mobile avec les nuages, le coffre à jouer plein comme un œuf, la turbulette aux papillons, les tableaux, les affiches, le tapis de jeu avec la mare, les nénuphars et les libellules. Un fauteuil en osier pour te bercer, la boîte à musique Totoro, les peluches, des chats et des fois en crocodile, la guirlande du hibou, la veilleuse panda, la lampe jaune en forme d'ourson. C'est si joli. Après avoir vérifié une dernière fois que tout était en place, j'ai frappé des mains et tu m'as tapé dans le ventre. Tu étais content, mon petit garçon. Nous étions à l'unisson comme toujours. Quand nous reviendrons dans la maternité, cette chambre sera plus vide. Enfin, oui, tout est prêt. Depuis 9 ans, j'ai eu le temps. J'ai même dû jeter des choses et en racheter des produits. Racheter des produits périmés, des bodys blancs jaunis avant même d'avoir été portés. Je surveille régulièrement le monitoring qui enregistre ton rythme cardiaque et celui des contractions. 2 fois, la courbe est passée sous la barre des 100 battements par minute. Mais on m'a dit de me tourner sur le côté gauche, depuis ça va mieux. J'ouvre mon anthologie de haïku, ma bible du moment. Je relis les plus joyeux, les plus lumineux. Tout à coup, j'ai si chaud, je frissonne. Je n'arrive même plus à parler. Je cherche mon gris-gris. Les doigts engourdis n'ont pas la force de les ramasser par terre. Je suis dans les vapes. Devant moi se dresse le petit hôtel du temple Adachino. Une bougie allumée, des branches de coton, de l'encens qui brûle, de la cendre, de la mousse sur le toit, des rideaux violets, une statue qui tient un fœtus dans la main. De l'eau coule d'une fontaine. Je pense à mes 2 anges. J'ai demandé à Giso de les prendre dans ses bras. Je me souviens aussi de l'avoir supplié de protéger cette vie qui grandissait dans mon ventre. Ma langue pèse lourd, j'ai des cailloux dans la bouche, je me sens partir, ce n'est pas le moment. Madame Sperman, madame? La sage-femme me parle, mais je ne l'entends pas. Je ne la comprends pas, je vois seulement ses lèvres bouger. Je souris bêtement, elle me tapote les mains, puis les joues, et elle appelle quelqu'un. Je reviens à moi, on m'a changé d'endroit. Dehors il fait nuit, enfin, je crois. Je porte une chemise en papier bleu que je ne me rappelle pas avoir enfilée. Il faut dire que je ne me rappelle pas grand-chose. J'ai dû m'évanouir à 2 reprises au moins. Je me souviens que tu étais presque là. Je crois même t'avoir entendu crier, mais tout est brouillé, nimbé de brume et de coton. Je me lève difficilement. Mes affaires ont été déposées sur le plat brancard. Je fouille fébrilement dans la valise rouge. La grenouillère de naissance n'est plus là, ni le bonnet, ni les chaussettes. Je pleure de soulagement. Je commençais à croire qu'il s'était arrivé quelque chose. Ces 3 pas m'ont épuisé. Je dois prendre des forces. Je m'allonge bien sagement en attendant. La lumière du jour me brûle les yeux. Je les referme aussitôt. J'entends des miaulements de nouveau-nés, des piaillements. À 3, j'ouvrirai les yeux, tu seras à côté de moi. Tu porteras ton body jaune avec les lapins et les fichus. Tu seras magnifique. J'ouvre les yeux, tu n'es pas là. Il m'a enlevé les perfusions et la poche d'urine. Je suis dans une chambre cette fois, une pièce claire baignée du soleil. Il n'y a personne d'autre. J'appuie sur la sonnette. Une infirmière passe la tête dans l'embrasure de la porte. Ma voix tremble, mais aussi mes mains, mes jambes, mon corps tout entier. Je voudrais qu'on m'apporte mon bébé, rien d'autre n'a d'importance. Elle me répond qu'elle va chercher quelqu'un. Je voulais lui demander encore une chose, quoi j'ai oublié, mais elle a disparu. Je me lève pour aller dans la salle d'eau. Je dois me faire belle pour toi. C'est l'heure qu'il entre. 2 blouses blanches, 2 mines sombres. Il me propose de m'asseoir. Je ne pose aucune question, ce n'est pas la peine. Je sais.
The labour room has a flower's name, Violet. It's a secret homage. Your big sister was supposed to be called that. Nathan had chosen the name. I preferred Apolline. She died at 5.5 months in my womb. Before there was Antonin, 4 months. Too small, too fragile. I kissed my Japanese amulet. I nearly left it at home. It was under the pillow of the too-big bed, in the blue room overlooking the road with bars on the windows. I bought it in Kyoto with a Shinto sanctuary that was squeezed between a police station and a souvenir shop in a shopping mall. It's a sort of grey plush toy with a red scarf, its eyes and mouth drawn in a black fountain. It's always with me, a charm to ward off misfortune. It represents Jizo, god of travellers and children. He protects them and also snatches babies from limbo who die in utero, die too early, in order to lead them to paradise. Amazingly, I'm not frightened. My baby, you are nearly here. Only my skin, so fine, separates us. You're soon going to get to know my kisses. For the moment, everything is progressing perfectly. I'm taking no chances. I scattered so many wishes at Kyoto, and so far they've been granted. I wrote what I wanted on pieces of wood that were going to be burnt, on leaves that I fixed on metallic tree branches. I hung garlands of paper and coloured material. I hear cries again, of anger, pain. The midwife, who has just broken my waters as if piercing a balloon with a needle, calls one of her colleagues and asks what's happening in the Jean-He room. She replies that it's a girl with the dragon tattoo on her shoulder. She's an anonymous one, isn't she? Yeah, she could at least wait for me to call the anaesthetist. I block up my ears. We all have these weaknesses. In the labour room, she didn't stop moaning that it hurt, that they promised her that it wouldn't happen. She can't be more than 18. She's so thin, despite her bump, which makes her short t-shirt right up over her thighs. The midwife explained in vain that it wasn't against her, but nothing seemed to calm her. I put my Walkman on so as not to hear anymore. I listened to the album again that had accompanied me over these last months. I can't share others' suffering. I'm not strong enough for that any longer. I need calm and serenity in order to give birth to my child. I've been waiting so long. Everything's ready for our return. I left your bedroom in the shade, the sun filtering through the blinds. It was me who painted it, lavender blue and aniseed green, and who put the chick frieze on the wall. I hurt myself. Yes, everything's ready. The cloud mobile, the toy box full to bursting, the butterfly sleeping bag, the pictures, the posters, the playmat with the pond, water lilies and dragonflies, a cane chair for nursing you, the Totoro musical box, cuddlies, cats, an elephant, a crocodile, an owl garland, the panda nightlight, the yellow lamp in the shape of a bear cub. It's so pretty. After checking one last time that everything was in place, I clapped my hands and you kicked me in the belly. You were happy, my little boy. We were in unison, as always. When we get back from the hospital, this bedroom won't be empty anymore. At last. Yes, everything's ready. I've had plenty of time over the last 9 years. I've even had to throw some things away and buy new ones. Out-of-date products, white bodysuits, yellowed before they could even be worn. I regularly check the monitor, which registers your heartbeat and my contractions. Twice the line dropped below the bar of 100 beats per minute. But they told me to turn onto my left side, and since then it's been better. I open my anthology of haiku, my current Bible. I reread the most joyous ones, the most illuminating ones. Suddenly I'm really hot. I shiver. I can't even speak. I look for my amulet. My numb fingers don't have the strength to pick it up. I'm feeling woozy. In front of me is the little altar of the Adashino temple. A candle is lit. Cotton tree branches, burning incense, ash. Moss on the roof, violet curtains, a statue holding a fetus in its hand. Water flowing from a fountain. I think of my 2 angels. I ask Jesus to take them in his arms. I remember also having pleaded with him to protect this life which was growing in my belly. My tongue is heavy, I can't speak. I'm feeling myself going, but it's not the time to do it. Madame Zimmermann, Madame. The midwife is speaking to me, but I don't hear her, I don't understand her. I can only see her lips moving. I smile stupidly. She pats my hands, then my cheeks. She calls someone. I come to. They've moved me. Outside it's night. At least I think so. I'm wearing a blue paper tunic that I don't remember having put on. I have to say that I don't remember much. I must have fainted at least twice. I remember that you were nearly here. I think I even heard you cry, but everything is blurred, swirling with mist and cotton wool. I get up with difficulty. My things have been put on the stretcher. I search the red case feverishly. The sleep suit isn't there, nor the bonnet, or the socks. I weep in relief. I was beginning to think that something had happened to you. Those 3 steps have exhausted me. I must get stronger. I lie down obediently while waiting. The daylight hurts my eyes. I shut them again immediately. I hear the caterwauling of newborn babies, the squawking. At 3 I'll open my eyes and you'll be beside me. You'll be wearing your yellow baby grobe with the rabbits on. It's so hot. You'll be magnificent. I open my eyes and you're not there. They've removed my drips and my urine bag. I'm in a room this time, a light room bathed in sun. There's no one else. I press the bell. A nurse looks in through the door, opening. My voice is trembling, so are my hands, my legs, my whole body. I'd like someone to bring my baby. Nothing else is important. She replies that she'll go look for somebody. I wanted to ask her another thing. What? I've forgotten, but she's gone. I get up to go to the bathroom. I must make myself beautiful for you. That's when they come in. 2 white coats. 2 somber expressions. They ask me to sit down. I don't ask any questions. There's no point. I know.
This extract just follows. It is the 2nd chapter with Emily. It's the 2nd character, main character. She's a tattoo girl previously mentioned. She chose to have an anonymous childbirth. It was not really a choice. She is very young and poor. She's alone. She has delivered 2 days ago. It was at her at Schultz. She said she didn't want to see a baby, but she gave the first name Leah. She has just found a vocational training that will begin 2 days after. She's going to work in a child therapy center. She has never seen this. Je m'occupe de ces foutus papiers pour m'en débarrasser une bonne fois pour toutes. Je n'ai que ça à faire de toute façon. J'en ai marre de lire, mes yeux sont fiévreux et ma chambre s'ouvre sur une cour bétonnée avec des bruits de machinerie et des odeurs de cuisine. J'ai l'impression que quelqu'un vient de mourir et je crois bien que c'est moi qui suis en train de pourrir à l'intérieur, maintenant qu'elle n'est plus là pour mettre un peu de vie en moi. Je ne sais même pas à quoi elle ressemble. Dès que j'entends l'enfant pleurer dans le couloir, je tends l'oreille, je me dis que c'était peut-être elle. Rien d'intéressant ne me vient en tête, tout me semble rebutant. Je ne veux pas leur apporter mes malheurs, mes errements, ça ne regarde que moi. Je leur laisse mon nom, puis cacheté. Si elle veut me rencontrer un jour, elle en aura la possibilité. Je n'y suis pas opposée. Elle ne sera jamais une étrangère pour moi. Je ne peux pas me résoudre à me donner. Alors ça s'est bien passé, me demande Madame Blanchon. Que répondre à ça? J'hausse les épaules, mordis mes ongles. Le moral. Bof, on m'a donné des médicaments. Elle va bien? Oui, elle est en pleine forme. Les premiers examens sont bons. Je suis soulagée. Avec tout ce que j'ai absorbé les 3 premiers mois, elle aurait pu avoir de sérieux problèmes. Après, dès que je suis que j'étais enceinte, je n'ai plus touché une goutte d'alcool. J'ai arrêté les joints et la clope. C'est ce qui a été le plus dur. Je fumais depuis l'âge de 13 ans. Oui, vous êtes bien travaillé, Émilie. Bon, je vous laisse vous reposer. N'oubliez pas de compléter le dossier, me rappelle-t-elle, en tapotant l'enveloppe posée sur la table de chevet. C'est déjà fait. Madame Blanchot? Oui. J'aimerais la voir finalement. Ça me semble important de lui expliquer moi-même pour, comme vous aviez dit, là il est un peu tard, on vous l'amènera demain matin. L'important n'est pas la quantité, mais la qualité de la parole qui va être transmise. Merci infiniment, je suis là pour ça. Je me lève difficilement, j'ai mal, sur les points de suture. Je vais voir dans la pouponnière. De l'autre côté de la vitre, une dizaine de berceaux transparents recouverts d'un drap rose. Elle est sans doute dans l'un d'entre eux. D'ici, ils se ressemblent tous, à part un bébé à la peau cuivrée, peut-être celui du couple indien. En revenant dans ma chambre, je croise la femme qui ressemblait à une actrice. Un médecin l'aide à marcher. J'ai failli ne pas la reconnaître. Dans son teint était cireux, ses cheveux ternes emmêlés. Son châle tombe de ses épaules comme une peau morte. Je crois que je n'ai jamais vu autant de douleur dans un regard. 2 grands yeux noirs qui lui mangent le visage. Je me suis demandé une seconde si les miens ne s'y reflétaient pas. C'est absurde. Je la mets dans le lit avec vous. Quand Madame Blanchot arrive avec Léa dans son berceau à roulettes, je suis plus émue que je ne voudrais. Je flanche carrément. Non, à côté, je préfère. Je ne peux pas. L'entendre, la voir, oui, peut-être, oui, il le faut bien. Mais la serrer contre moi, c'est au-dessus de mes forces. Elle risque de rester collée. Elle a beaucoup de cheveux, comme moi à la naissance. Sa peau est belle, c'est très sans fin. Ses petits poings sont fermés. Elle est beaucoup trop mignonne. J'ai des choses à te dire. Ma voix s'étrangle, je ne suis pas encore prête. Il faut que je mette de l'ordre dans mes pensées. Sinon, ça va être de la bouillie de mots et elle ne va rien comprendre. C'est déjà suffisamment compliqué. Je suis épuisée. De toute façon, elle dort comme un noir. Quand on sera en forme tous les deux, on pourra discuter. J'ai juste la force de rapprocher les berceaux de mon lit. Je lui attrape l'un la main, ça vaut peut-être mieux que tous les discours. Ses doigts s'enroulent autour de mon pouce. Elle soupire dans son sommeil. Sa poitrine se soulève. Je pose mon autre main dessus. C'est moi qui ai fait ça. Comment je réussis à faire quelque chose aussi parfait? J'ai une crampe, mais je ne retire pas mon doigt. Je me mords les joues pour ne pas pleurer.
I'm doing these bloody papers so as to get rid of them once and for all. I only have that to do in any case. I've had enough of reading. My eyes are sore, and my room overlooks a concrete courtyard with machine noise and kitchen smells. It feels as if someone has just died, and I think it's probably me going rotten from the inside, now that she's no longer there to put a bit of life in me. I don't even know what she looks like. As soon as I hear a baby crying in the corridor, I listen out, telling myself it might be her. Nothing interesting comes into my head. Everything seems miserable. I'm not going to tell them my troubles, my bad habits. It's my business. I've left them my name in a sealed envelope. If she wants to meet me one day, she'll be able to do so. I'm not opposed to it. She'll never be a stranger for me. I can't resign myself to anonymity. So, it went well, Madame Blanchot asked me. What do you say to that? I shrugged my shoulders and chewed my nails. And how are you feeling? Not great. They gave me some medication. Is she okay? Yes, she's in great shape. The first tests are good. I'm relieved. With everything I took in the first 3 months, she could have had serious problems. Afterwards, as soon as I knew I was pregnant, I didn't touch a drop of alcohol and stopped smoking joints and fags. That was the hardest. I've been smoking since I was 13. Yes, you've done well, Emily. Good. I'll let you rest. Don't forget to fill in the forms, she reminded me, tapping the envelope on the bedside table. It's already done. Madame Blanchot? Yes. I'd like to see her after all. It seems important for me to explain to her about, like you said. Well, it's a bit late today. They'll bring her to you tomorrow morning. What's important isn't how much you talk, but what you say to her. Thank you ever so much. That's what I'm here for. I get up with difficulty. It hurts. It's the stitches. I go and look at the nursery. On the other side of the glass there are 10 transparent cribs, each covered in a pink sheet. She must be in one of them. From here they all look alike, apart from a bronze-skinned baby, perhaps belonging to the Indian couple. On my way back to my room, I pass the woman who looked like an actress. A doctor is helping her walk. I nearly failed to recognise her. Her skin is so waxy, her hair dull and tangled. Her shawl falls from her shoulders like dead skin. I don't think I've ever seen so much pain in someone's eyes. 2 huge dark eyes taking over her face. I wonder for a minute if mine isn't reflected there. It's absurd. Shall I put her in the bed with you? When Madame Blanchot comes in with Léa in her cradle on wheels, I'm more nervous than anticipated. I'm weakening, obviously. No, at the side here, I prefer. I can't. To hear her, see her, yes, perhaps, yes, I must, but to hold her to me, it's more than I can bear. There's a risk she'll stick. She has lots of hair, like me when I was born. Her skin is lovely, she has fine features, her little fists are closed. She's far too sweet. I have some things to tell you. My voice chokes, I'm not ready yet. I must put some order in my thoughts, otherwise it'll be a mush of words and she won't understand anything. It's already complicated enough. I'm exhausted. And in any case, she's sleeping like a dormouse. When we're feeling better, both of us, we can talk. I've just enough strength to pull the cradle nearer my bed. I take her hand. That's got better than any speech. That's got to be better than any speech. Her fingers curl around my thumb. She sighs in her sleep. Her chest rises. I place my other hand on it. I produced that. How could I have made something so perfect? I've got cramp, but I don't take my finger away. I bite my cheeks to stop myself crying.
Emily and Léa are both sleeping. Just after this scene, Judith will steal the newborn in Emily's room. Judith is desperate after the days of the baby. I try to go inside my character to understand what she does with no moral judgment. During a few days, Judith will care for the baby as she was a biological child. She will even breastfeed her. This kidnapping will deeply affect Emily. She's going to be worried as a mother, and when the baby will be retrieved, she will change her mind and decide to keep her. Now I'm going to read an extract. It's the beginning of Les yeux au ciel, Eyes to Heaven. It's the opening sequence with Nena, one of 14 characters of the novel. With this book, I wanted to broaden my field of investigation to all family, with mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, daughters and sons, young and old people. And I tried to write a family novel. So, and all the family will gather at the parental home in Salinaire. It's a little seaside resort next to Dinard. It wasn't happened for a long time. Marianne, the mother, has organized a party for her husband's birthday. Noé, the father of Lena, the patriarch. They're all going to pass a few days together. Sons and daughter will arrive with their problems, their claims, with something to struggle to announce to their parents. All characters will face off the memory of a dead daughter or sister, Violette, who died in a mysterious accident 30 years before. Lena. Michael Jackson venait de mourir, ça ne faisait rien. Derrière la fenêtre, un petit carreau entrouverte, le cèdre bleu effleurait le toit, les filets électriques. Il faudrait les laver. Il y avait tant de choses à faire, toujours des choses ordinaires. Assise sur son lit, Léna tenait un body d'une main, le robe à poids de l'autre. Autour d'elle, des piles plus ou moins droites de vêtements, 4 exactement. Une pour Zoé, une pour Théo, une pour Vincent et une pour elle évidemment. Il ne fallait pas qu'elle s'oublie. Ça ne risquait pas avec les pensées qui l'assaillissaient, les mauvaises pensées. S'il n'y avait que ça. Ces derniers mois, elle avait des bouffées, des pulsions, des crises, elle ne savait comment les nommer. Puis elle a envie de pleurer, souvent même elle pleurait, de sauter par la fenêtre. Pourtant, elle n'était pas malheureuse, elle n'avait aucune raison de l'être. Léna consulta sa liste, elle tenait ça de Marianne. Comment sa mère s'en était-elle sortie? Ils étaient 3 à la maison en plus, Sachi l'été, les cousins, cousines, les copains, les copines qu'elle prenait en vacances. Avec seulement 2 enfants, Léna avait l'impression de se noyer dans un verre d'eau. Elle sombrait et personne ne s'en rendait compte. Elle devait courir après le petit, braver le danger à chaque seconde, comme s'il cherchait à user ses nerfs et prouver sa terreur. Elle ne le quittait pas des yeux, et avec sa fille, c'était pareil. Vincent l'appela, elle sentit prise en faute. Les bagages étaient-ils prêts? Il préférait rouler de nuit, c'était plus pratique avec les enfants. Elle lui répondit « Oui, presque », lui voyant faussement jouer. Un jour ou l'autre, un malheur arriverait, il ne faudrait pas s'étonner. Quelquefois, elle s'imaginait lâcher son âne dans l'escalier, le laisser se noyer dans son bain. Marianne, elle ne râlait jamais. Jamais elle n'avait ne serait-ce que soupiré. Léna s'entendait parfois crier et après elle se griffait les bras. Elle les aimait tellement. Vous me tuez mes amours à petit feu, chuchota-t-elle. Son mari voyait quelqu'un, elle en était convaincue. Dans un sens, ça l'arrangeait. Elle avait installé un futon à côté du lit à barreaux de Théo. Son corps éprouvé requérait du repos. Ses plaies devaient cicatriser. Elle se nichait surtout dans sa tête, elle en avait conscience. Elle avait été soulagée d'avoir un fils. Contrairement à Vincent, elle ne voulait pas de troisième enfant. On ne fait pas un élevage, avait-elle prévenu. Elle songeait à prendre un rendez-vous, afin que sa décision soit irréversible. Mais elle était délétère et pour l'instant, elle n'avait rien fait, ni pour le cèdre, ni pour le reste. Il allait lui falloir déplacer des montagnes pour gagner la mer. Resterait le point où sa résistance céderait, où ses nerfs menaceraient de lâcher comme des élastiques refusés. Mais son père était âgé, elle devait prendre soin de lui. 10 minutes plus tard, le ciel virait au rose. La tempête était passée, elle pouvait se remettre au travail.
Michael Jackson had just died, and it meant nothing to her. Outside the half-open, small-paned window, the blue cedar brushed the road. The electric wires that needed pruning. There were so many things to do, always ordinary things. Sitting on her bed, Lena held a bodysuit in one hand and a spotted dress in the other. Around her were almost upright piles of clothes, 4 exactly. One for Zoe, one for Theo, one for Vincent, and one for her, of course. She mustn't forget herself. That's not likely, given the thoughts that were assailing her, bad thoughts. If only that's all it was. These last months she'd had outbursts, urges, crises. She didn't know what to call them. And then she wanted to cry. She often cried. And to jump out of the window. Yet she wasn't unhappy. She had no reason to be. Lena consulted her list. She got that from Marianne. How had her mother coped? 3 children at home, plus Akil in the summer, plus cousins and friends that she took on holiday. With only 2 children, Lena felt as if she was drowning in a glass of water. She was sinking, and no one realised. She had to run after the little one. He courted danger every second, as if he was trying to wear down her nerves, test her terror. She didn't let him out of her sight, and with her daughter it was the same. Vincent called her. She felt caught out, with the bags ready. He preferred to drive at night. It was more practical with the children. She replied, "Yes, almost," in a falsely cheerful voice. One day or another, something bad would happen. It would be no surprise. Sometimes she imagined herself dropping her last-born down the stairs, letting him drown in his bath. Marianne, she never moaned. She'd never even sighed. Lena heard herself screaming sometimes, and afterwards she scratched her arms. She loved them so much. "You're killing me, my loves, bit by bit," she whispered. Her husband was seeing someone, she was convinced. In a sense that suited her. She put a futon beside Theo's cot. Her exhausted body demanded rest. Her wounds must heal. They were lodged in her head most of all, she knew. She'd been relieved to have a son. Unlike Vincent, she didn't want a 3rd child. "We're not breeding a herd," she'd warned him. She thought about making an appointment so that her decision was made final. But she was indecisive, and for the moment she hadn't done anything about it. Nor for the cedar, nor for the rest. She was going to have to move mountains in order to get to the sea. She'd test the point at which her resistance gave way, at which her nerves threatened to break like old rubber bands. But her father was old, and she must take care of him. 10 minutes later, the sky turned to pink. The storm had passed, and she could start work again.
Thank you. Thank you, Karine, for those wonderful readings, and thank you also, Lena, for reading on so
Very good translation.
So, we've got some time to have some questions, if anyone's got any questions to ask Karine. And, yeah?
Vas-y. Je sais pas, on pose en français and in English, or
there are people that don't speak French.
English in
Les deux, peut-être.
Yeah, je pense.
Les deux, essayer.
Because there are people that don't speak French here, so we have
Yes,
to
so
make...
I'll try
But you
in
can
English.
ask Katerina in French if you like, and then say the question again in English. Would that be good?
D'accord, moi je vais essayer, comme je suis ni française anglophone, donc tout se mélange. Non, mais je suis curieuse, comme l'image, vous avez dit au départ que la mère est très importante et pour vous et dans l'histoire. Et dans la littérature française, c'est vraiment une image qui revient et qui est liée à la mère. Je pense à d'autres mother narratives où les femmes vont à la mère pour montrer la mère peut-être dans les deux sens, à l'enfant par exemple. Donc, mais vous n'avez pas mentionné ce lien à la mère maternelle au départ. Vous avez parlé de la mère. Alors, je suis curieuse de savoir si il y a dans votre tête ce lien consciemment, je veux dire, à la mère Marthe et la mère.
Mother and see.
Comment?
Do you want to say it in English?
Oh, should I say it in English?
As well.
Okay, I just...
Because other people
Yes,
want to
in
decide.
French literature, there's often this link between mother and sea, which we don't have in Swedish literature, for example, because we don't have this.
The word's the same in
Yeah.
French.
Mhm.
Well,
So, and
it
I
sounds
was-
the same.
Yeah, and she said in the beginning, she said that both for herself and in the novel, the sea is important. So I was just curious if in your conscious it was also this link between mother and sea, as we can imagine it is in the unconscious. Or, when
Yes,
you
it's the same word in French.
Yeah.
Mère, so I think
Voilà.
it's conscious and unconscious. But I think I've got a particular feeling to see, perhaps most important than other people. But there is a link, but it's not only linked to motherhood, because I was like before to be a mother. So as a woman, I need to see,
Yeah.
not as a mother.
Okay. Yeah.
So for you in writing, there is not a symbolic link between
I
la
think
mère and la mère.
there is
in
similar
writing.
things, but it's in conscious.
Yeah.
Mm.
I've got no theory about my work. It's very intuitive, and perhaps other people can say something.
Yeah. It's interesting to see that
Yes.
the link is so clear.
Yes, I know but it's very close. Yeah, in all my books, it's very close. Yeah.
Perhaps to say a little bit more about why the sea is so important, why it occupies such an important place for you. I mean, that might sort of help.
It's like
To understand.
a place to go when you are bad, when you
don't feel right.
Yes. But now when you live in the sea, what can you do?
It's a place to escape to.
Yes.
Do you think it's interesting because we've talked about this before in terms of there's certain environments that people love, and some people are sea people, and some people are mountain people,
Yes,
and
yes.
some people are desert
Yes.
people.
Oh.
And it's quite sort of interesting in those terms that, in a sense, there's maybe it's a space, probably in all those. There's something infinite about it, or is it? Well, it's hard to tease out.
I like the sea, but I like seaside, bord de mer. Not being in the middle of the sea.
Yeah.
The edges.
Yes, I'm frightened by sharks.
In Brittany?
Okay, you were going to ask.
I'll try in English.
So you came to writing with Untitled, which is Karine, how do you say Karine?
Longbook?
Diary.
Yeah,
Notebook.
notebook about becoming, like waiting for a child and becoming a mother. So I was wondering what inspired you, just like what brought you to writing? Is that like becoming a mother brought you to writing, or because motherhood, like you said, is inspiration in all your novels. So I was wondering why coming to writing with motherhood.
Before, I've been writing for a long time, since I'm a child, little things. And my first subject was not motherhood. I began to write on motherhood with l'inattendu, unexpected. Before, my subject was family I didn't need to write about a little brother, my dead little brother. I think it was not the reason why I needed to write about it, in order not forget, and in order people don't forget, and to have. It's hard to explain. But these books I have were not published. I sent them to editors, and they say no. They say, oh, okay, it's a bit okay, but no, not that. So, and one day I thought I was trying to be a baby, and it was taking a bit time. I thought it was immediately. And I thought, when I will be pregnant, I have a baby before, and I told an editor. Publisher. I was in contact with her because she was interested in my work. I wasn't ready, but she was interested. She was following me, and I told her my idea, and she said, "It's a good idea. It's a new idea, as I wasn't still pregnant, I began to write. It was in a notebook of l'attente. Waiting, expecting. And I call it unexpected because I was surprised when it's gone, and as I was waiting, and it was. I was expecting, and it was unexpected. So, because when you are a mother, you've got very ambivalent feelings, and I have. I can't talk for other women. So in my books, I try to work on this ambivalent feeling.
Roberta first.
Thank you very much. I found particularly the extract about the stillbirth very moving. So thank you. And actually, I want you to explore what you just said about the ambivalence, because actually, these are very welcome. But it seems the motherhood is very much portrayed almost as a loss of identity, loss of a child, loss of a partner. The child is an adjunct, which it is. It's kind of attached, but it's his own person. And actually, yeah, if you could actually explore a little bit more and tell us a little bit more about this kind of ambivalence, because it really goes against the dominant vision of the mother, and often the mother in popular literature as the happy mother, and this kind of fulfilling life, affirming new identity that you take on.
Il y a un mot que j'ai pas compris.
Tu peux parler un peu de ou sur
Oui, ça c'est. writer and as a person, I like to see the face and the contrary always, and even when I am thinking, I try to see all the possibilities and to have only one vision, and to understand the different point of views, for example, and yes, I experiment before this. As becoming a mother, I had the experience of that. It's my experience. It's not only my material, but and yes, it's.
I felt in your, just to sort of carry on that, I felt in your books, you're always putting the mother who is not totally happy or whatever, but you're very, there's a fondness for them, you're very, you seem to care, as a writer, or the narrator, maybe it's the narrator in the text, but that you seem to care very much about the mothers and their problems and their issues. So there's a sense.
Yes, I think my mothers in my books are like clones of me, avatars. They are different, and they are developing very functional links to their children or babies. And perhaps it's so much strong, but it can be suffocating. Yes, so it's. I think it's a reason of the abandoned feeling, because perhaps to have can breathe a little, and to not to be only a mother but a woman, and so for me it's very important to be a mother, but also a writer.
I suppose related to that, something Karine was talking to me about earlier, probably might answer that question a little bit more, which is thinking about this idea of autofiction and the extent to which you draw on your life experience, but you're not writing entirely about yourself. And we were talking about how literature is a space to kind of, you use the word clone or double, but it's a space to live out, not fantasies exactly, but the experience that you don't have, but that you might have.
Yes, possibilities.
And the extreme of an experience that perhaps one feels on a certain level.
Yes. When I wrote this book, I tried to imagine I am Judith, and Judith is a little close to me. I imagine where, and I bore a lot of things, her souvenirs, taste, the way she thinks, the home, so much details about her life and where she is, and it helped me to go inside her brain, to understand her, to be her, and so after I could. I was able to understand her and to show what she does, to translate her mind, her thoughts, with no, like they are, with nothing else.
There was a question here, did you?
Hi. I was wondering from which other authors you've ever taken inspiration, particularly French female authors.
I read a lot, but I can't say I'm really inspired by other writers, even cultures, because writers are sponges. I feel like it's sponges, so or vampire. So all the books, the films, paintings, travels, the conversation with people. I know, I don't know, the personal stories. And after I had my personal material, and all this after it's and after I write. So it's very it's very intuitive, but I like one of the modern is Annie Ernaux, of course, yes, and I read also a lot of English and American writers, and Joyce Carlos and Laura Kishishko are my favorite, female. And I also like Yoko Gawa in Japanese.
Interesting. Annie?
Can I make an irreverent remark? You know that in England the fashion is the yummy mummy literature coming up. I don't know if you have the same genre in French. All of these Notting Hill housewives who have discovered motherhood, and they're also very young and trendy, and they go through this process, how good do they look, do they have to have collagen or not, do they have to do this and the other. When you mentioned about the stain, I've just read one of these chiclets things, about the rise and fall of the yummy mummy, and she was also worrying that she was in a disco, she shouldn't have been there, and she gets stained, and a man was saying, oh, you dropped something, and it's actually the pad that she had put on her nipple. So I'm not saying this is big literature, but is there a trendiness in that sense in France? Has it become fashionable for the yummy mummy to become the rise and fall of the new mother? No. You look horrified. To some of what you say.
I've got ambivalent feelings about my work. As I said at the beginning, I work on motherhood, but I would like to do another thing.
Wait.
Because I wouldn't want to be put in a.
Oh no, I don't mean put. But you must relate to the other people writing trendily instead of writing like a very passé model.
In France, female feeds seem less serious. They are second subject. It doesn't. It's not a. Yes, it's less serious about main subjects.
Yeah.
But for the moment, I found it's my opinion. So I don't want to be put in a.
I'll send you a copy and then you'll lighten up a bit. Anyway.
I think we're going to finish this section now. There will be time afterwards when we're having a drink that if people want to ask more questions, they can come and talk to you in a more informal way. So I think it remains me to say thank you again to Karine.